Okay, so today we are in the book of Proverbs, and we're on Proverbs chapter 26, and Proverbs is great because it gives us the difference between wisdom, which comes from God, and foolishness, which comes from man. And chapter 26 really focuses on foolishness and gives us some crazy examples of foolishness. So right off the bat, guys, what stood out to you? Jeremiah, why don't you start?
Okay, so what stood out to me is verse 20. Without wood, a fire goes out, and without a gossip, a quarrel dies down.
Gossip. Do you know what it is?
Yes.
Have you heard the gossip? Have you heard the latest word, guys?
Yes.
Out there?
Yes.
Talk to me about why that verse stood out to you.
Okay, this stood out to me because it says, without a wood, a fire goes out. And a fire, it can't burn unless it has wood.
Gotta have wood to have a fire, right?
And then, without gossip, there can't be a quarrel, which is basically a fight.
Right.
So there's no conflict.
Right. So you can't have wood without a fire, and if you're gonna have conflict, you're gonna need some what?
Quarrel? Wait,
Gossip.
Gossip, guys. Gossip causes fights. It causes problems with people. I mean, you guys have probably heard at school where people start talking about somebody behind their backs, and what does that eventually do? Like, how does that person feel when they learn that somebody's talking bad about them?
They feel really bad in conflicts.
There's conflicts. Like, people start fighting and arguing. And that's why, like, we always want to keep our words positive. It is wise to keep our words positive. And if we have an issue with somebody, we don't want to talk about it behind their backs. That's not what a person who loves God does and who wants to love people does. If you have an issue with somebody, how do you want to talk to them about it?
Face to face.
Face to face, exactly. So, good word about gossip. Jordan, what stood out to you?
What stood out to me is verse 13 through 15.
13?
A sluggard says there's a lion in the road, a fierce lion roaming the streets. As a door turns on its hinges, so a sluggard turns on his bed. A sluggard buries his hand in the dish. He is too lazy to bring it back to his mouth.
The sluggard is too lazy to even just bring the food back to his mouth.
And he's too lazy for the lion too, because you're
just standing there. So in the example you gave us, he's like, look, there's a lion in the street. And he just stands there. So, Jordan, if you were outside and we're in Glendora here, we're in the foothills, and if you see a coyote standing in front of you, are you going to be like, look, it's a coyote?
Run.
You're going to run, right? I mean, that would be crazy. If you guys saw one of each other just standing there with a coyote, what would you do?
I'd be like, come on, what are you doing?
Run! And why would you run away from the coyote?
Because it's a coyote. It can hurt you.
It's dangerous, right? But a sluggard, oftentimes when we're feeling lazy, we're just like, oh, I'm not going to try and solve the issue or solve this problem. It'll just solve itself on its own. And nothing gets done when we don't get up and get out and try and do something about it. And God has created work for us. He blesses us as a result of work. It's a good thing to have in our lives. And so we always want to remember that laziness leads to not much happening in our lives at all. But when we actually apply ourselves, it can lead to good things, and especially not being eaten by a lion or a coyote in the streets of Glendora. Jonah, what you got?
So verse 12 stood out to me. It says, do you see a person wise in their own eyes? There's more hope for a fool than for them.
So it's like, hey, Jonah, I know everything. You're wrong all the time. Or Jeremiah's like, hey, old man, I know what's happening. I know what's going down. I don't need your advice. What does that verse mean to you?
It means, so it's like, if you're the smartest person in the world, if you know anything, but if you see yourself wise in your own eyes, a fool would be better than you.
Right, so it's like, so Solomon is telling us, God's word is telling us that, hey, there's people out there that are going to be foolish. We're talking about foolishness in this chapter. But you know what's even worse than being foolish? Is thinking that you are right all the time. Being so arrogant that you think you know everything all the time. Now, when you're with your friends, when you're with people, and there's that one person who thinks they know everything all the time, how does that make you feel?
Sucks. It's just frustrating.
It's frustrating, right? And it hurts your feelings too, because a person like that can be like, nope, your word isn't as valuable as my word is, so you're going to listen to me. That's not who we want to be to people, right? Mm-hmm. And so God reminds us that when we have a learning spirit, he blesses us because we're trying to understand somebody else's perspective. We want to get to know and learn and grow by listening to other people, and especially listening to God's word. Mm-hmm. So when I think if I'm right all the time and nothing I say is wrong, that's going to lead to something worse than foolishness, right? Mm-hmm. So certainly, guys, Proverbs 26 really stands out to me because when I was younger, I was very foolish. I did a lot of foolish things. You guys remember the story when we went to the Turlock High School football game I told you about with my friends?
Yeah.
And we didn't have football at my high school. We had soccer during that time, so we'd go to the Turlock High School football games. And it was halftime of one of the games, and all my friends were at the top of the bleachers, and a buddy of mine were pulling each other back and forth, and I'm at the very top bleacher, and he's just below, and he pulls me, and my foot gets caught underneath the bleacher, and he pulls me all the way, and I roll down, all the way down from the top of the bleachers to the bottom of the bleachers. I remember going back like this, and I could see all their faces looking at me like, oh my gosh. And I rolled all the way down, and when I got to the bottom of the bleachers, I went shoot, and I landed on my feet, right? And I ran as fast as I could back up the bleachers, and I was like, I'm okay. But guys, I think about that time, and I think about what was I doing with my friend at the top of the bleachers at a high school football game, pulling each other back and forth. Does that sound wise, or does that sound foolish?
Foolish.
Totally foolish, right? Now, Cedar's not with us right now because she's sick. What if she was like, hey, old man, I'm going swimming. Right now, it's 50 degrees outside, and the pool is like 30 degrees. Is that foolish or wise to go swimming right now? She's sick in the 50-degree weather. It's totally foolish, right? And if Jeremiah was like, hey, old man, I'm getting in the car, driving over to Vons, gonna get myself some ice cream.
Yeah.
Wise or foolish?
Foolish.
Why is it foolish?
Because we're not supposed to be doing that, and we've got rules set.
A, you can't drive right now, and B, is there a reason right now that we don't want to go out to the store?
Coronavirus.
Right, and that's something that's on a lot of our hearts, and a lot of people are scared, and there's a lot of us who are not sure what to do, and we have to look at what's going on in the world and say, what's the wise decision or what's the foolish decision? Hey, I'm all for ice cream. I want ice cream. I can't wait to the day I can send all you guys out for ice cream runs for me.
Yay.
I want as much chubby hubby as possible. But right now, while we're supposed to be in our homes and make sure that we're protected and keeping other people from getting the virus as well, is it a smart idea to send Jeremiah in the minivan to get ice cream and bring it back for us?
No.
Wise or foolish?
Foolish.
Foolish, right. So, that is chapter 26. It really focuses on foolishness. Let's try and be wise today, guys.
Yeah.
Good job.